Ever since Dark Souls was released to the world over 10 years ago, it has forever changed the debate on difficulty in video games, and with it, given rise to numerous insufferable gaming opinions. Every game should have an easy mode. Stop asking for an easy mode. Just get good. You only want an easy mode in games because you're too used to games holding your hand. You really can't say you finished the game if you don't play it on all difficulties. This gotta be the worst one. If you unironically think like this, you probably don't know what the touch of a maiden feels like. I made sure to play Dark Souls for the first time before making this video, and while I can confidently say I like that game a lot, I still hate the fact that it ever came out. Because I think the question of should Dark Souls have an easy mode is one of the most tiresome topics in all of gaming. It's a debate we've been having for over a decade at this point, and it's a debate that we're probably going to be having forever, honestly. As for where I stand on the topic, I think both sides of the coin are equally obnoxious, with people wanting games to be easier for everyone and for people wanting games to be harder for everyone. Not every game should have an easy mode. If the point of the game is to be extremely brutal and punishing and you want it to not be that, well then, the game might not just be for you. I think of the entire Souls franchise and how the whole appeal of these games is overcoming challenges. If you remove this element from the game, you'd be removing one of the major reasons for playing it in the first place. But I think making games harder and just outright dismissing an easy mode is also wrong. I think video game developers should try to make their games easier to play. This ultimately makes them more accessible. I think of how auto combos work in fighting games. You can literally just mash one button and the game does the combo for you. The option for more optimal combos is still there, but the auto combo system allows people who don't play fighting games often something they can use without feeling as though they're hitting buttons on their controller at random. I think when it comes to games, an important question regarding difficulty you need to ask yourself is why you are playing that game. I think it would be cool if every game added an easy mode to it for people who needed it, but I think it's also okay for a lot of games to have a set difficulty that you cannot change. There's positives to games doing this. There's never going to be that question of maybe you made the game too easy for yourself or maybe you made it too hard for yourself. If there's no option there, you know for sure this was how the game was always meant to be played. For games like those where there's no debate on, I think people need to learn to just accept the game for what it is. Because if a game is too hard or too easy for you, I think it's important to again ask why you're playing that game. Let's compare two games with a set difficulty that are on opposite sides of the difficulty curve. Dark Souls and Pokemon. In Pokemon's case, it's no secret that these games are laughably easy. The past 4 to 5 games in the series can be completed with very little effort and pose little to no threat. Outside of the GOAT. Difficult gym leaders like Whitney and her Miltank are a relic of the past. Nowadays, it feels like you can just press the A button without looking to beat the gym leaders in Pokemon. The AI for these games got extremely easy, but they also added changes like party-wide experience share that make grinding to level up pretty much non-existent. There's a million things to complain about in Pokemon games, but the games being too easy is definitely not one of them. In fact, they should probably make these games even easier. Why do I think that? Because it's Pokemon. It's one of the most popular brands in the entire world. These games are designed so a 4-year-old can enjoy them, or an 84-year-old can enjoy them. Wanting them to be made more difficult will simply isolate those players and cause them to quit. As someone who played Gen 2 as a kid that has suffered from Whitney's Miltank blowing my back out, why would I want anyone else to go through that? It's probably a good thing that people growing up don't have to suffer like I once did. I constantly see people complain about these games being too easy and wanting them to revert their experience share system to how it was before, and I can't help but look at these people and just say, bro, like, you're in your 40s, why do you even care how easy the children's game is? It's time to put the big boy pants on and go play grown-up Pokemon, aka SMT. You can like Pokemon when you're an adult, but you have to realize that these games are inherently designed to be a casual experience that shouldn't challenge you. If you want Pokemon to be hard, that's understandable. If you want to do a hardcore Pokemon Nuzlocke run, I say go for it. In fact, I think that makes for good content. But we shouldn't increase the baseline difficulty of the game, and I don't think the solution is as simple as adding a hard mode to the game. This would only further isolate players because little Timmy would probably get called a little bitch by all his friends at the playground for not picking the real gamer mode. I think it's important for something like Pokemon to have a set difficulty, because for such a globally popular game as Pokemon, I think everyone should be having the same experience. Creating a difficulty mode will only cause people to question what is the real way to play Pokemon, and what is the developer's vision. Is Pokemon meant to be this cakewalk, or is Pokemon meant to be this challenging experience? When in reality, none of that matters. What really matters in a Pokemon game is, well, the Pokemon. Pokemon is meant to be enjoyed by everyone, whether it be a hardcore player or someone who doesn't even play video games. And for the Pokemon brand, that's probably how they should be making these games, as easy and as accessible as possible. And that's why these games couldn't be more different than the Dark Souls franchise. Where Pokemon is meant to appeal to everyone, Dark Souls is meant to appeal to a niche audience. Their target audience being people who want zero handholding in their games and people looking for a challenge. This isn't to take away from the other strengths these games have. They have really good level design, challenging but fun boss fights, and super interesting lore. Even though I don't understand a goddamn thing about it because I'm not a nerd who reads item descriptions. YouTube videos explaining the lore to me are still pretty cool though. While discovery is a huge part of the appeal of Souls games, the biggest appeal is still that difficulty challenge. The reason you'll play a Pokemon game is for the Pokemon, not because you're looking for a challenging RPG to play. Where in Dark Souls, the reason you'll play is because you want to overcome that boss that's been beating your ass for the past hour. The difficulty is the core of these games. It's why you play them in the first place, and it's the reason you keep playing them, and that's why you can't add an easy mode. It would defeat the whole purpose of these games. I realized something while playing Dark Souls for the first time. It was the moment when I finally understood Dark Souls. And I don't have some generic sappy story of how I defeated a boss and popped off, and when I overcame that challenge, that was when I understood the appeal of Dark Souls. No, I beat a boss just like any other, and then I realized if these games were easy, they would kind of suck. I was enjoying my playthrough of Dark Souls, but I had to take a step back and ask myself, why was I having fun? I didn't understand or care for the lore. I liked how everything linked back to Fire Lake Shrine, but that wasn't what hooked me. Same with how I liked exploring new areas, but that wasn't the reason I kept playing. The combat was whatever, and some of the early bosses frustrated me more than gave me a sense of joy when I finally overcame them. It was then I realized I was only having fun because the game was challenging. If it wasn't, I probably would have dropped the game deeming it boring, because if the challenge wasn't there, I think the game would be boring, honestly. I think Dark Souls has a lot in common with another third-person action game in Devil May Cry, at least on paper. I mean, just think about it. Your combat is over the shoulder, primarily with a sword. You can level up your character with red orbs instead of souls. You fight mobs of enemies, eventually working your way to a boss fight, and both games do have a little bit of challenge and difficulty in them. But the reason why no one cares that Devil May Cry has an easy mode, and even the ability to revive yourself when you die, is because the point of Devil May Cry is to be stylish. The appeal behind this game is getting that style meter as high as possible and taunting your enemies while looking badass. It's a good thing that an easy mode is an option because that means more people who aren't so technical can experience that feeling of being stylish. And if you want, you can play that game again on a tougher difficulty after getting more experience with the combat. This style aspect is the main thing that sets these two apart. Combat in Dark Souls doesn't have that same swag feeling to it like in Devil May Cry, and that's okay because that's not the point of these games. The point is to overcome seemingly impossible tasks and to challenge yourself and grow through the game's difficulty. And this difficulty isn't for everyone, and that's okay. I feel like it's commonplace for when someone says they don't like Dark Souls that you should automatically assume it's because they suck, when in reality, there are genuine reasons to dislike these games outside of difficulty. You have to go out of your way to truly understand the lore, you could dislike them aesthetically, and not every boss is a slam dunk. That feeling of overcoming a really difficult boss isn't for everyone. Not everyone is going to get that same dopamine rush after defeating a tough boss, to the point where they feel like this is the greatest experience in gaming like some people get. I finally beat a boss that I was stuck on for 3 hours, and I only got excited for about 2 minutes. Then I realized that I spent 3 hours on this part and got frustrated, because those 3 hours could have been spent doing something more productive. That feeling of regret has a term. It's called post-nut clarity, and not everyone wants to feel that, but that's how I feel about the topic. Pokemon should be easy because it's designed to be a casual experience, and Dark Souls should be hard because it's designed to be a difficult experience. Difficulty for any game really all depends on the reason why you are playing said game. This is why I think it's fantastic how games like Celeste offer an assist mode. Celeste is designed to be a very challenging game, but this game also offers a very powerful story that players will want to experience. This will ultimately be the main reason for playing through the game for some players. Assist mode allows people who only want to experience the narrative the option to turn off the gameplay aspect. But I also think it's not a big deal for other challenging games like Cuphead or Dark Souls to not include something like this. Because in those games, the narrative takes a backseat, and the main reason you will want to play these games is for the gameplay. Trivializing the gameplay would ruin the whole experience. Most games probably should include an easy mode. Players will have various reasons for playing a game, such as only caring for the story or characters. Including an easy mode will allow them to focus on the parts that they enjoy. But for games that have their whole identity revolve around their difficulty, they probably shouldn't include any ways to make them easier, and people should just learn to accept these games for what they are.